TNA Wrestling, after being stuck as Impact Wrestling for over a decade, finally returned back to their roots and revived the once very popular three-letter company. The very fitting pay-per-view, Hard to Kill, took place in front of over 1,400 people in Las Vegas, which sounds crazy as hell to say in 2024. A TNA show with over 1,000 in attendance, and they were paid? It was pretty cool, not gonna lie. There are also some doubts and worries going to this show as well, with the biggest one being, will this show actually capture the spirit of TNA, or was it just an Impact show renamed TNA for a quick pop? As you guys can see, the card for the show actually looks pretty good. It's not stacked like an AEW pay-per-view or a WWE PLE, but it looks good. The show started off with a Women's Ultimate X match, and I'm gonna keep it 100. I knew literally nobody in this match. I enjoyed it though. These women did their thing, and you could tell they really wanted to make a statement, being this was TNA's re-debut. This match had a few nice spots and dives to the outside, especially the cutter onto the floor and the 5-way suplex. We even see a decent looking spear. The match ultimately ends with Giselle Shaw pulling down the X to become the #1 contender for the women's title at a future date. Great match that exceeded my expectations greatly. Next up was PCO vs Fandango. And I'm sure most of you guys know Fandango from his time in WWE, but PCO on the other hand is basically Frankenstein if he was a wrestler. The dude's like 50 something years old and legit does some of the most insane spots you'll ever see. And we see that literally 10 seconds into the match as Dango is thrown outside for PCO to do a dive, which then leads to PCO almost breaking his neck in once again an insane spot. Then out of nowhere, Vladimir Kozlov shows up, then Rhino shows up, then Santino shows up. Santino, being the authority figure he is, says the match is restarting, but as a 3v3 with PCO teaming up with Rhino and a nigga named Jake something against Kozlov, Dango, and the other dude. And not gonna lie, this was fire. Jake something comes running down full speed and dives in the ring, which allows PCO to do another moonsault onto the rest outside. And after a few minutes of back and forth, PCO gets his team the win with another moonsault. Very entertaining and slightly overbooked match. But that's TNA for you. The next match saw Chris Sabin defend the X Division title against Fandango and Kushida. And this right here is what TNA was and should be all about. Fast-paced, total, non-stop action. This match had a lot of very cool moves, which wasn't thanks to Fandango, if I'm being honest. The things this dude can do is simply unreal. So unreal, the things the dude does are impossible to do in video games. All three men put each other through hell with submissions, Germans, hurricanranas, and about 1,000 other flips, until Chris Sabin hit an insane Canadian destroyer, which left Kushida open to hit the cradle shock for the 1, 2, 3. An absolutely amazing match. And all I really have to say is that in several moments during this match, it made me go, damn, TNA is back. So just go watch the match, bro. Next up was another potentially great match, being Alex Hammerstone versus Josh Alexander. The match started off pretty slow, but then heated up insanely quick after a World's Strongest Slam onto the apron, followed by a running crossbody. After a few more minutes of offense by Alexander, Hammerstone hulks up and starts going off, which causes the crowd to pop pretty hard. He pulls off some impressive moves, but Alexander's collegiate level wrestling ends up being way too much for Alex, as Josh secures an ankle lock and doesn't plan on letting go. Alex ends up surviving the ankle lock and hits an insane looking Death Valley driver on the apron, but only for a 2, which gets the crowd chanting, "This is wrestling," which I couldn't agree with anymore. And after a few more counters and sequences, Alexander will hit a underhook pile driver for the 1, 2, 3, and what was yet another banger of a match. The next match was for the TNA Knockouts title, which was Naomi versus Jordynne Grace. And not even gonna cap, I don't know if it was because I was tuned out or what, but this match didn't hit, like, at all. There were some cool moves, but that's really it. Naomi loses the title and will most likely be returning to the WWE, maybe in the Royal Rumble. Our next and final match is for the new and beautiful looking TNA World Heavyweight title. And this match was actually decent. Not great, but not bad. I think my biggest gripe with this match is that the fact it went over 20 minutes, which it absolutely did not need to. Moose ends up winning and is now crowned the new TNA World Champ, and is now celebrating until some unfamiliar music hits, which turns out to be Dolph Ziggler. Next thing you know, Dolph hits Moose with a kick and a zigzag, then is in the crowd with a TNA shirt, revealing he's officially crossed the line. Which now leaves me left to say one statement: TNA Wrestling is back.